You're listening to the Appleton REIA podcast, a podcast dedicated to understanding the latest tips, tricks, and techniques to be successful in today's market of real estate investing. Appleton REIA podcast. Get ready. Here's the next episode.
Well, hello once again, everybody. It is the Appleton REIA podcast, because that's what I just said, and we're here now. And my name's Dan. She's Jackie.
What's up?
We're along for another ride, and today we are ready to really bring it to you guys, because is that the bomb dropping?
Yes, it is. It's the bomb dropping so the shift can hit the fan.
Yeah, that's today's topic. Today we're going to talk when the shift hits the fan. And, you know, we've done podcasts to this point talking about, is there a shift? Is there a change coming? And I think with every podcast we've talked about, Jackie, we've said it's going to happen.
Eventually.
Right? It's probably not nearly to the level what it was, so anyone who's been around since 2008.
Oh, yeah.
But right now, as we sit here today, June of 2022, there's some crap happening, right? Yeah. There's stuff happening in the market, and we talk to not only in our own market, but we're talking friends across the U.S.
Oh, man, I was on a call with investors from all over the country yesterday, and every market pretty much looks the same. Yeah. And we're not saying doom and gloom, Dan. I mean, we're not talking doom and gloom. This, just in case you guys are thinking, like, you're going to turn this off right now because we're going to doom and gloom you. We're not. We're going to opportunitize you. It's a new word.
I think you just coined it, but you know what? You can rock it. It's going to be trending on Twitter later today.
Opportunitizing. Yes.
But with any adversity, there's opportunity.
Always.
And the savvy investors, the people that have been successful year over year, these are the people when they see these things happen and they see shifts, their mind starts going of like, okay, I understand that. How can I capitalize and maximize to either impact the lives of more people?
Yep.
I mean, even when the whole COVID thing happened, there's businesses that thrived and just really blew up because they saw, how can I serve people in this time of need, right? So here's case in point. The real estate market is shifting, and we'll talk about some of those things that we're hearing, we're seeing in our market and abroad to help educate you a little bit as well. But you need to start thinking that same mindset of like, okay, what can I do in my business? What activities can I be involved in that can help me see opportunities where there once wasn't?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things right now, and like you said, in the past we've talked on podcasts like this is eventually going to happen, but we didn't have a crystal ball. You know, we always wish we did.
Always said that,
but now we don't really need one, right? Just this past week on the market, we could see it, we could feel it, we could almost hear it hit the wall. But I think the most important part in times like this is to, number one, realize it. Mm-hmm. So if your head is still in the sand and you still think we're in this poppin' hot market with appreciation on the rise, like you need to check yourself. Because that's when bad decisions get made and money gets lost.
Absolutely.
So the number one thing is to realize where you're at so that you can understand that you need to shift.
Right.
And become a little bit more conservative and start to see how things are laying out and then figure out how to take opportunity.
And the biggest thing with this, Jackie, and we talk about this with new students, is to getting the F out of real estate, right? You have fear.
Yes.
And when these shifts happen, the natural bent of most people is to pull back.
It is.
And be fearful of not making any actions, right?
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Now, should you be more cautious? Absolutely.
All day.
Gain information, which we're going to do today here in the podcast to kind of say, here's the lay of the land as we see it. Take in the information. Make decisions based upon what you know, right?
Exactly.
And that may mean changing what you've done in the past to be able to really not just survive, but thrive in a new shifting market.
And I mean, a little spoiler alert, next week at the Appleton REIA, we're going to talk about very specific ways that you can really gain some momentum during this market and the things that you can do to increase your business.
Absolutely.
So that's a spoiler for you right there.
So as we already talked about, the shift is hitting the fan, which is kind of a tongue-in-cheek. But I mean, we are in that changing market, right? We've kind of been alluding to that in what we've been talking about already in the podcast. Here's what we're seeing right now. Is we were in a market before which was just insanity, right? I mean, probably the craziest market any of us in our lifetime has ever seen. And for some people, that was their norm. If they just got into the real estate 2-3 years ago, this is going to be always this way, right?
This is what it is. I make a mistake and I spend too much on a house, but it's okay. It goes up by $20K in a month.
The market was extremely forgiving in the sense that you can make a plethora of mistakes and still walk away with a check. That's not going to be the case in this market. You kind of have to tighten things up a little bit. So some things we're going to see right now, for instance, just expect if you're going into a project, and maybe you bought this back in April, right? And now you're getting ready to finish up a project, you may just need to expect that you're going to have longer hold times, right?
Yeah.
Days on market's going to be longer.
Yeah, you're not going to put it on the market today and say all offers due by tomorrow at 5 and have 20 offers in hand and one of them $60K over. That's just not going to happen anymore. I don't need a crystal ball to tell you that. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
But you will need to be very realistic and expect the hold times. And as Brett and I were talking about our properties coming up, we were saying, we're going to list them a little closer, because in the past we've listed them maybe, right at where we could start getting some competitive bidding, knowing darn well they're going to go over. Now we're thinking we're going to list them just a little bit up, maybe what they should bring, or right on that bubble like we used to, knowing that we might have to take a price reduction to get re-engagement. Yeah. So it's funny. I was talking to a guy yesterday out in the California market, and 1 year ago, he put his property up for sale for $1.5 million. Now, understand their market is different. So $1.5 million, house out there versus one in Wisconsin, they're different. But $1.5 million, and they had 60 showings and 9 offers, and sold it for over. Now they're getting ready to put one on the market that's very median, more around the 500 mark. Very
that's
just
low end in Cali,
it's literally grandma's house. Yeah. Grandma passed. It's literally her house. And they expect to have more like 30 showings and like 1 to 3 offers is basically what the realtor told them. Like, just don't expect it. And I've seen that personally just in the last week. With the properties that I've had out there, we're getting 1 to 3 offers.
Yeah, we're getting showings,
and it takes time to get them.
100%, and you're not seeing the stuff like you used to before with the waiving inspection contingency and the crazy offers, right? You're like, what, really? That's awesome.
Right.
So you have to understand that the market's going to shift back to probably more of a normal pace, but this goes back to everything that you teach with Real Estate 101. 100%. You make your money when you buy, right? Yes. Sometimes people think, well, you're going to make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 profit. Potentially.
Yeah.
But if we bought this like in April thinking that, and now we're in June and the market shifted like it has considerably, you probably break even. Like, if you made some poor decisions, you probably could still make some money, right? Whereas if you overpaid for something and we're expecting for that $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 bump on the back end, and you based your comps on like these high-end comps
ARV plus 30.
Right. You're now in a losing situation,
and that's dangerous.
It could really put you at a point where you're losing sleep at night. You're like, how are we going to liquidate this property? Yeah. And that also having multiple exit strategies. I think that'd be the other thing that we a lot of times we do some pre-talking, but when you go into a property, have multiple exit strategies.
Always. And the rental market's going to stay strong. Yeah. So one of the other things that we're seeing, hearing, and being told through different articles and, keeping our fingers on the pulse, because that's what we do, is that, defaults on mortgages are up. Year over year, 26% right now. And getting more. The moratoriums are over, and people are 90 days or more behind on their mortgage now. Right. And so we're going to start seeing people in pre-foreclosure status that maybe we can go back to the short sales. Like, short sales haven't really been a thing. I mean, even just the foreclosures haven't been a thing because of the moratoriums and just the opportunities for people to go back to their bank and work out a what's the word? But they've been able to work out some deals. Yeah. And so now, like, maybe some of the short sales are going to come back, and being able to help people avoid that foreclosure situation. If people have any equity because there was some appreciation and they don't owe as much, we might be able to buy them out and send them away with some walking money and save them from the foreclosure. But the whole point is being aware and then coming up with, okay, what are my current marketing strategies going to be? Because marketing strategies in a bull market are different than this bear market.
100%, yes.
You're going to market differently. Your avatar, who you're marketing to, is a different person. Yep. Your ARV is different. Your exit strategies have to be more. Your appreciation, you have to almost take a zero appreciation, and if you get it, great. Right. I was talking to an investor in Minneapolis yesterday. Like I said, many different parts of the country, and she said her agent came to her and said, listen, whatever ARV I give you or whatever I see and think based on comps, I'm going to pull $25,000 off of it before I tell you what your ARV will be, because we need that right now. Yeah. I'm seeing pre-approvals come through for 30-year fixed, anywhere from 5.5% to 6% that I've personally seen pre-approval letters for buyers. that are that high.
Yep.
And today the Fed is
we're
dating this,
to go 3/4
but
of a percentage point, and that could continue to go up as inflation. So I mean, that's the other things we're seeing right now. I mean, we're still in a contractor shortage, which everyone's facing, right? That's not changed. That stayed the same, right? So but now you're dealing with supply chains. You're dealing with the cost of materials, the lack of diesel, which will drive up the cost of everything, right?
Right.
The increased cost of living that people, there's a pullback from the buyers now because they're a little hesitant of like, well, I get less house now.
Yes.
My interest rate, I could have gotten a 4, maybe a 3 back, 69. It seems like forever ago, but really it's not that long ago. But now to your point, we're in the 5s and 6s with good credit. And that just buys you less of a home. And with the increased cost of goods, some people are just like, maybe I just need to stand pat. Right?
Reading
Consumer
a lot of
confidence
articles about the buyers that haven't gotten a house in this market yet are pulling out of the market with the uncertainty of everything. Guys, gas is as high as it's ever been. Everybody's noticing the grocery bill now.
Yeah.
For a while, people weren't really noticing.
Sure.
Now everyone I talk to is like, oh my gosh, my grocery bill. Like I got a bag of groceries and it was $96.
Yeah.
How did I fit $96 in one bag? Like what happened?
Right.
And so everybody's feeling that and seeing that it's not going to stop. 2 days ago, the wholesale prices came out at 10% bump, which means that in the coming months, we're going to see that bump at the checkout, right? And with gas prices going up, then getting the products there, you're going to see it.
Right.
And you think about, Dan, we talked about this before we started recording, but when people are looking at, okay, so I can afford $1,000 a month mortgage, right?
Yep.
Well, that $1,000 buys you a lot less house when you went from a
Absolutely.
3% to a 6% pre-approval.
Yep.
It also, that $1,000 isn't $1,000 anymore when you have to budget more for gas and budget more for groceries.
Yeah.
And then the uncertainty of how much more is it going to go up?
Correct.
Because they've told us it's not going to stop.
Right, yeah.
What does that mean?
There's nothing going that indicates that it's not going to continue to rise. And let me just pause for a second. This is not meant to get you anxious.
This is
the last thing we want this podcast to do is you to get anxious. And Jackie even said earlier to pull back and do nothing. We're doing this to educate you. Right? We want you to be informed. Like your head's not in the sand. You can't be. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle that you're on politically. The facts are the facts, and these are straight facts, right? Yes. You can tell the blame whoever you want. We're not going to here to tell you that. But what I'm saying is, you can either have inaction or action in this situation. So what we want to do.
It's all about information, education,
100%.
And taking the right steps, Dan.
Correct. So I mean, as we kind of talk about that and these things that are going on, the reality of this world. What are those opportunities that we can see? And Jackie even gave you a little teaser that coming up at the REIA on the 21st of June at the DoubleTree in Appleton, we're going to really go into that a little bit more in detail and really have some Q&A and have a great networking session with local investors, other professionals that ultimately can really speak to this on a larger level. But for the sake of the podcast and time, let's talk a little bit about like what are the opportunities as we go from the changing markets. As this shift is hitting the fan, where's those opportunities, Jackie? We talked a little bit about marketing, right? Change what you do there.
Absolutely. Marketing and just the strategies that you're investing in. And so I'm going to tell you, so the way it sounded like doom and gloom was really just because I know that there's people out there because I've talked to them that don't believe me. And they're like, oh, I don't see it. So like pointing out all of these different things gets people to go, oh my goodness, you're right. We are slowing down. Yeah. Gas, grocery, supply chain, this, that, and the other. So the exciting part is Brett and I made more money in real estate than we've ever made before in 2008, 9, 10.
Sure.
Because number one, everyone else was pulling back because they were having the heyday, right?
Yep.
They were in 05, 6 and coming into 7, making money hand over fist, just like the last 3 years here.
Absolutely.
And so all of a sudden they were gun shy because the market pulled back and they came away.
Right.
Or they started losing money. They were going to the closing table with checks. They were getting foreclosed on because they were over leveraged, right? And so we were able to scoop in with this different way of doing it. And that's what we want to share with you guys because now we're back to that.
Right.
And we're not 2008. This is a totally different reason for shift.
Very much so.
The market is different. It's not going to be 08.
Right.
We're not saying that.
Yeah.
We are saying there's a shift. And so changing those marketing strategies and changing the way that you're maybe even what you're doing in real estate. So maybe you didn't ever do a short sale.
Correct.
Can I tell you subject to could be really big coming up.
Subject to lease options, stuff like that where people are over leveraged in the properties. Those are phenomenal.
Wow,
if I can say it correctly. But those are amazing strategies that you can help sellers where a cash offer is just not going to work.
You're right.
So now sharpen some of those other tools, other strats that you can be knowledgeable. Because in your market, if you get really good at that, you could blossom and really find your own niche.
This is where you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
And that's what we were saying in the beginning. There's opportunity in every type of market. You just have to, number one, be aware.
Yep.
Number two, be educated.
Yep.
Number three, take action.
Yes.
Don't pull yourself aside. This is what we were all waiting for.
Yep.
And that sounds really wrong to say, well, we were waiting for everything to crash, right? But that's when people like us can really come out and help everyone else who gets stuck in something like this. This is when we shine. When we're not just out there like buying stuff and making money hand over fist because of appreciation by accident and whatever. We're actually serving the people who get stuck in these things, who are going to be stuck whether we're here or not, but they're not going to get out without us.
Sure.
And so short sales, subject tos, rentals, like these are the things where you could really buy up.
Right.
And really make your money and serve the community.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, think of this, guys. Everything is cyclical. The real estate market is cyclical. Sometimes we get so tunnel vision in the last 2, 3, 5 years that we've lived or been in, or you're new to this. But if you take a 20, 30, 40, 50-year view on real estate, there are ebbs and flows. There's bear and bull markets, right? There's going to be highs and lows, and you just kind of have to, as an investor, feel it out. Where are we at? Because then your strategies change, the things we just talked about. Here's one thing I'll kind of drip to you is like a great idea is if you're not already going back to your old leads, people that told you no 30, 60, 90 days ago, I would highly recommend picking up the phone and calling those people back. Like, hey, did you sell that property yet? Oh, really? Why not? You may find that their tune is changing a lot, where they didn't know and the market was in this weird influx, but now everyone, I mean, I'm talking to sellers daily and they are already telling me, yes, we see it, we're feeling it. So you don't even need to educate the sellers on the market. They realize we're not in this boom market anymore. They know what's going on because they go no further than the grocery store or the gas pump and see it. And you turn on the nightly news and you also hear it. Or
they've been listed and found out that they can't list it for 50 grand over and just get 20 offers on the first day. And they're like, oh crap. So now what? You know, now my listing is stale. Maybe I need an investor to pick me up because I want to go buy a house before my rate lock expires.
Absolutely.
You know, 100%. And that's what we're finding too. And this is where you get really excited about that opportunity to close the gap, because people that have those things that are expiring, but they have to sell their house before they can go buy, like, they might want to move, right? And you can get in there. If you see some of these for sale by owner properties, because they're like, well, I don't need a realtor. Why would I pay 6% when I can throw it on Facebook and sell it? It's not selling on Facebook anymore. Like that, it just isn't. No. So you see one of those for sale by owners on Facebook, let them know who you are, what you do, and that you're here.
Absolutely.
You know, because they might be trying to sell and they already have a property that they want. And they thought they could sell theirs fast enough with their home sale contingency or not, and they're going to lose the property that they really want.
The key is make sure you're buying right. You know, you're pulling realistic comps. You know there's going to be longer hold times when whatever you're doing, and then have multiple exit strategies on this. If you do those things, guys, you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose in this market.
Can I also say, please pull your own comps? Don't trust a realtor to tell you what your ARV is, especially right now. Especially a realtor who doesn't have their finger on the pulse and thinks that we're still in like this appreciating, booming, hot market.
If your realtor's selling that may be a red flag that it's time to find a new realtor, right?
Yeah.
That's so true.
Oops.
But guys, listen, I mean, hopefully this was informative of you. I mean, we felt, obviously, we wanted to share this information with you. I mean, we're living this just as much as you, but we're also equally excited.
So excited.
Because we know we're going to be able to serve a whole different group of people than we were before. And I highly recommend, if you haven't already, mark your calendar for June 21st in Appleton at the Doubletree and come out to the Appleton REIA, because we're going to have just a really down-to-earth, open panel of just some topic discussion, some Q&A, and the networking is always just amazing after the fact. So recommend blocking off your calendar. Starts at 6:30. If you've never been there before, maybe you're like, should I come? Shouldn't I not come?
You should come.
You should come. First time's free. Go to the website, appletonrea.com, print off your guest pass. Not to mention all the benefits if you decide to become a member, but that's not the point of this. Come check it out, experience it, try before you buy, right?
Meet us.
If you like the people and you feel like you could get value, so many people outside of just Jackie and myself and Brett share while we're there that they want to give back. I think you'll find that as a huge win for this group of people.
Yeah.
It's a great community. So AppletonREIA.com. Go there today. Turn off your guest pass, and we look forward to seeing you at the DoubleTree right off of 41, I should say, in Appleton,
College.
Right? 41 in College. Easy, accessible, super quick. So, hey guys, keep your head up, right? Even though the shift is hitting the fan, this is a time of opportunity. This is a time where you can thrive and continue to keep your head up and focus on what you can control, right?
Be excited,
absolutely.
New business plan.
Absolutely. Until then, you've been listening to the Appleton REIA podcast. I'm Dan. She's Jackie. See ya.
You've been listening to the Appleton REIA podcast. For more information and other episodes, visit us at AppletonREIA.com.